Alright, so introduce yourself and your profession.
My name is Perrotta. I'm an EMT in the New York City Fire Department. I serve Brooklyn, New York at a Gravesend station, Coney Island, station 43. I've been an EMT in the fire department for 2 years now. And that's about it.
Why did you want to become an EMT?
I wanted a job where you don't do the same exact thing every single day. I kind of hated that when you have to get up and go to work and you're like, all right, I'm doing this again today, over and over again. That's one thing that's different about this job. You don't do the same exact thing every single day. Danny Peltano, he's a paramedic for many years. You know, he's working with Ula. She's a very good girl. She's working as another paramedic for many years. They're good people. That's something to do. They get to do stuff that EMTs aren't allowed to do. They get to intubate people, basically a doctor in the field, whereas an EMT is more like a nurse in the field. And EMT handles mostly trauma, car accidents, delivering babies, abdominal pains, minor, lower priority emergencies where they'll handle the more life-threatening, more serious conditions. A lot of times they call us for back when they have a situation where they need our help because we're the trained hands to help them as well. The difference is advanced life support and basic life support.
Camaraderie is a big part of being an EMT, right?
Yes, it is. If you trust the person that you're backing up, especially if you have a partner that you're immediately working with, if you know what they're thinking, you don't even have to talk on the job. It just goes by and kind of like a marriage. Sometimes better than a marriage because we don't get along with our spouses sometimes, but we get along better with our partners.
Wow.
It's just 8 hours.
And it's 8 hours, sometimes 16 at the most. And when we go home, we don't have to sleep with them.
They're going out into the field right now. Someone down the block calls for chest pain and they're going to be responding. Those are the people that come to save your life in your time of need.
What are you thinking?
Talking about all this stuff brings back a lot of memories about my father. I think about him all the time, every day. Any guy who lost his father or loved his father will tell you that. They think about him every day. And it affects a lot of the decisions I make and the way I live my life.
Wait a minute.
Even before I was on the job as an EMT, you see somebody who has a flat tire in the rain or snow and you stop, you help them out. You know, it's just this basic type of person that he taught me to be. I had an older father and I wasn't planned. So I had an older father than most kids at my age. I'd go to a place like with him, like a supermarket, and they'd say, "Oh, you with your grandpa today?" I'm like, "No, that's my father." He was an older guy, but you know, he never acted. He never acted that way. We always go on the job together. He would teach me the tools of the trade of craftsmanship and handyman work and plumbing and painting and all that kinds of stuff. And he would take me out on the boat with him. He'd take me out camping. We were very active in the Boy Scouts. But you got to realize, he was a patient who had congestive heart failure, which is when your lungs fill up with fluids. It just fills a room when a person's having that, and along with the crying and screaming of a family, you know, you could hear their death coming. And the people who would always come show up to save his life, you come through the door, you're in a paramedic or an EMT uniform, and you grab out all your equipment that, from a bystander's point of view, you have no idea what that is. And I remember the paramedics opening the door, my house. They got down, they hooked up a machine to him, they started on an IV, they started moving him so fast because they knew how urgent the situation was. And we at that point, that's when they got him into the back of the ambulance. And there was like 2 or 3 times before that where they would show up, they would do something for him, they would stop the chest pain, they would help his breathing, they would get him to the hospital, and he would survive. But it just happened to be that one time, January 7th, 2000, I was 14 years old, and he keeled over, and they worked on him so hard in the back of the ambulance, but they couldn't save him.
Were you in the ambulance?
No, I was outside.
But you remember the EMTs coming in and helping him out?
Yeah, I remember that. And my whole thing was, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have had much of a memory of him. Am I going to scream at the paramedics that, you know, maybe could have worked a little faster or drove to the hospital a little faster? That's not going to bring him back. You got to realize how many times people do good stuff for him. You know, medical professionals like paramedics and EMTs and doctors and surgeons who actually did get, you know, keep him in my life. And I remember something my mother said. She was in the back of the ambulance, and the paramedics didn't think my father was, you know, they thought they had altered mental status at one point because he's like, please take care of me, I have a 14-year-old son. They were like, this old guy can't have a 14-year-old son. I'm like, no, that's my father. I loved him to death.
What's your idea? Coming through. The two used to buy a house together. Wait, me and my daddy. Me and my daddy. That's what she said. Me and my mom. Are you kidding me?
Here we are. Partners in crime. Right? Cookie monsters. Right again.
Wise guy.
There he goes.
Be careful.
My life is a tribute to him. I do everything in honor of him. I do everything to keep his good name. Raising me, teaching me. He did more in 14 years that I had him than most kids get in their whole lives from their parents. And I'm really grateful for that.
Gotta get my partner and get out of here now. Come on, got a job already, bro. One thing that I'd like to mention is the fact that people don't always understand when we're going through the streets, lights and sirens, they think that, you know, oh, they're probably, I hear people saying, oh, they're probably going for coffee. It could be your parents.